Can you remember what to do?
Yeah, we talk.
Yeah, we say things about Doctor Who.
Okay, yeah.
Good.
Too hot for TV.
Welcome to another exciting brand new episode of Doctor Who Too Hot for TV. I'm Dylan.
I'm Jack.
You're back.
I'm back.
Where have you been?
I've still been here. I've just been doing other things that have been not recorded via audio.
I see. Telesnap reconstructions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much to all of the people that have filled in whilst I've been away. Richard Herndl, David Bradley, and
Edmund
Warwick, that was it.
Bad fan. So today, much like Resurrection of the Daleks, it was held over from one season to another.
Yes.
And it's being remade in a slightly different way, a slightly different format. New director. Peter Grimway's been fired for not taking JNT out for lunch.
Yeah.
And we're hit with season 2. That's right. We're calling them seasons now of Doctor Who Too Hot for TV. As you may know, we rambled through the apocalypse just recording whenever. Now we're going to do them in season chunks.
Yes.
So you'll get a group of episodes, a little bit of a break, maybe some special episodes, you know, a bit like Doctor Who, the TV series itself, and probably get a season every 5 years as well, just like the TV series.
Yeah. We've got a new console room.
Yes, we do.
It's got a coffee maker. A biscuit tin, a Marmite dispenser,
all everything you need, and new titles with your face in.
Yes, yeah. It just zooms into my brow.
There's been lots of exciting stuff happening in the world of Doctor Who. Do we want to talk about it, or do we feel like everybody said it all?
I just am amazed that it. Well, what I'll explain that I got to the point where I messaged you and said, "There's a new fucking trailer," and. I sent it to you, and until I finished it, I didn't realise until I checked the date that it was the same trailer that had been released in July or June.
Yeah.
And I hadn't seen it since, so I just forgot that it existed. So I just went, "It's this new trailer. It doesn't look interesting, but it's there." But no, it was just a repeat.
Yeah. And then they released an actual trailer, and everybody went, "Yeah, Doctor Who."
Yeah, it looks great. It's nice to have it on because it feels like it's been fucking ages since it's been on.
It hasn't even been that long, has it?
I know, but
it was Christmas.
We've had fuck all to do.
Yeah, that's true. Like somebody should have made like a 1960s style 50 odd episodes just to cover us through the pandemic.
Yeah.
Which is what, Ian Levine's demanding. But anyway, so we won't bother too much with news and stuff like that. We'll just go straight into what we're looking at today.
Father Time.
Yes, so first up, Father Time by Lance Parkin was a BBC 8th Doctor adventure. It was the 41st 8th Doctor adventure, released on the 8th of January 2001. News at the time: Nicholas Courtney had recently returned from Madrid, where he had been playing a David Attenborough-style type for Spanish television. His character becomes over-familiar with a gorilla.
Oh my god.
Big news stories back then.
Do you think he's big in Spain?
I think Courtney the chimp fucker is very big in Spain.
Yeah, maybe he actually had to stop working there because he just got known for fucking animals.
You heard it here first. Out at the time from Big Finish were The Holy Terror and Storm Warning, while BBV were doing The Rani Reaps the Whirlwind. Ever listen to that?
I think you bought it, and I think I heard it.
Yeah.
It's by Pip and Jane, isn't it?
Yeah, I've been trying to push this on you to do it for the podcast for a while, but you just keep saying no.
Yeah. I'm not a big Pip and Jane fan.
No, nobody is, really.
Are there any other husband and wife writer teams in the world that you know of?
Bob Baker and Dave Martin.
They're not married.
No.
They just fist.
Yes, that's what they do.
Yeah.
And another exclusive here. So we've been back for less than 5 minutes and we've had a chimp fucker and fisting. Great. We're on a roll here. No, I can't think of any.
It's quite unusual.
I am a bit of an eBay whore. Since Pip died, there's been various Pip and Jane related things that keep appearing on eBay, like original scripts and stuff. And there's an original script for an unmade movie, nothing to do with Doctor Who, that they wrote. And it just keeps getting relisted at a slightly cheaper price and a slightly cheaper price until I'm going to get drunk one day and buy it. And we can read an unreleased non-Doctor Who movie by Pip and Jane Baker.
Yeah.
That's a podcast you can't wait for, isn't it?
I just feel like it would be really hard to be married and to have to collaborate on fiction together. Like, why would you not just get sick of each other?
Well, I think they did. Have you ever seen an interview? He looks like he hasn't said a word in 25 years. Also out at the time was Doctor Who Regeneration, the book, which was the big Gary Russell book that I talked to Rob from the Doctor Who show about recently.
Yeah, because it's full of all of the John Leakley artwork and concept art.
Yeah. Bernie Summerfield and The Dead Men's Diaries was out. And Howe's Transcendental Toy Box. You know
the guide to merchandise. Yeah. And you could see how much that valued how much the stuff was worth and how much you should expect to pay for it.
Yeah, and it was kind of like a big shock. All of a sudden people were like, this thing I thought I paid loads for at a convention's actually worth fuck all, and vice versa.
It was like the FTSE 100 of Doctor Who merchandise. I think, and it said, I think some of the most expensive things in there were the Dalek 60s play suits.
Yeah.
And maybe the pin... No, I think there was maybe a chess set that was expensive. Yeah. And
they're still expensive. It was announced that David Arnold was composing the theme tune for the new 8th Doctor audios, and JNT's memoirs were coming out on compact disc. Death Comes to Time was being recorded, or the pilot episode was, and other books out were Quantum Angel by Craig Hinton, featuring the 6th Doctor, Mel, and some people from the Time Monster. And the comic strip was the Autonomy Bug. So there we go, exciting times.
There's a lot of stuff going on. So you've got Death Comes to Time, which is, spoiler, killing off the Doctor. You've got the 8th Doctor amnesiac in the books, having blown up Gallifrey. And you've got a brand new series. You've got the first ever audio series of Paul McGann. What a fucking treat.
What a time to be alive. In fact, we were.
Yeah.
So, Father Time is written by Lance Parkin. He was a prominent name in the world of Doctor Who writing at this point.
Yeah.
Can you remember how you first experienced his name, his work?
I think it would have been this book.
Ah.
Yeah, I can't think of any things he did prior to this. But
so, well, I can tell you what he did prior to this. He'd done...
Emmerdale.
Yes, which you love.
Yeah.
He'd done Just War, Cold Fusion, The Dying Days... Beige Planet Mars with Mark Clapham for the Bernie Summerfield range.
Yeah.
And the Infinity Doctors.
Yeah, but none of those I'd read. The first bit of him that I read was this, Father Time.
Tell you where you had experienced him. Cyberon.
Yes.
He wrote
which
Cyberon.
I think is a well-written...
It is.
Amateur film.
One day we'll cover it. It is a good script. It is let down in other areas.
Yeah.
He'd also done Just War, the audio release. Jacqueline Rayner actually adapted that. The Extinction Event for Bernie Summerfield Audio, and Primeval for the main range of Doctor Who audios at this point as well. He'd also done, this is where I probably knew him from, for BBV, he'd done The Root of All Evil, which is a Crinoid story, and Ice Cream, which is, I think, I'm right in saying, I wrote an article for Celestial Toy Room about the top 10 BBVs. And that I put as number 1. But it had been 2 years since the Infinity Doctors, so why had he waited so long? Well, he was busy working on Emmerdale, as you say, and he says he wasn't keen on the companion Compassion, so he waited till she left.
Ooh,
yeah.
Why? She was a female TARDIS.
The Doctor climbed inside.
Yeah, they would all climb inside of her at the end of every adventure. And go off on adventures.
Absolute filth.
Yeah, it was described as, they said a thin line would appear in the air in front of her and a door would open. Wow. That was it. There was nothing seedy.
They didn't go in through her arsehole or something like that.
No, but I think while they were inside her, whilst they were in the console room, she could talk to them.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's absolute filth.
Yeah.
That is peak 90s fanboy, isn't it? And we're going to make a companion that you can just enter.
Yeah. Well, it's not that far off The Doctor's Wife by Neil Gaiman, is it, really?
No,
is it?
No, it's not. You're right.
Too hot for TV.
In the sleepy town of Greyfrith in the early 1980s, the Doctor meets a local school teacher who introduces him to a pupil named Miranda. The young girl shares the amnesiac Doctor's unique condition in that they both have 2 hearts. A pair of assassins named Rum and Thalash are on the hunt in Greyfrith for the mythical figure known as the Last One. Abducted by Roman Thalash's employer, the Deputy, the Doctor learns that Miranda is the last surviving member of the Emperor's lineage, a race of tyrants who were at war with the Deputy's species, the Clade. Whilst Miranda's foster parents are killed trying to protect her, the Deputy is imprisoned and the Doctor takes Miranda into his care. Several years later, Miranda is at secondary school where she meets a new pupil she is drawn to, who unbeknownst to her is Ferran, the prefect of the Clade, summoned by the recently escaped Deputy to complete their mission. Before Ferran can murder Miranda, he finds himself becoming attracted to her and unable to complete the mission. The Doctor dispatches him back to his ship whilst the Deputy arrives to murder the last one. Out of self-preservation, Miranda shoots and kills the Deputy. Ashamed at betraying the Doctor's moral code, Miranda goes on to travel the world, and at 19 years of age, Ferran returns once more to abduct the last one. The Doctor stows away on a NASA space shuttle, and with the crew, infiltrates Ferran's ship to find Miranda, who has meanwhile led a revolution amongst the slaves on board, to end the millennia-long war between the Clade and her kind. Miranda agrees a ceasefire between her own species and Ferran's, and they leave the Doctor on their journey to restore peace and freedom across the Empire.
Too hot for TV.
So, in Father Time, we're on 80s Earth.
Yeah.
What's the Doctor doing there?
So he first woke up in, was it Victorian Britain? Or pre-Victorian or Edwardian? I'm not sure. Amnesiac, not knowing where he's from. He's got a small black box, which over years is slowly morphing into a large police box.
Right.
And he's got a note from Fitz saying, meet me in St. Paul's or something in 2002 or whatever it was, whatever year. So he's essentially just getting involved in adventures, not knowing who he is, waiting to meet this person after 100 years. That's it. He's spending 100 years on Earth.
And he's about, what, 20 years off the final meeting point?
Yeah. And over the course of this time, he's learning... He's just suddenly learning, like, oh, I'm not aging whilst everyone else around me is.
Right.
And so the note makes more sense over time, where he's like, okay, so this might be someone else who's like me out there.
It's good stuff, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Very good stuff.
There is a point in the story where the Doctor meets... I wasn't aware of this, but he meets a character in the book who is... She's a very, very old woman. I don't know if she's actually from one of the other books in this little Trapped on Earth arc.
Yeah.
But it makes it sound like she is. There's been some adventure that happened in her early life, but he's not aged a day, essentially. Right. And he kind of... There's a moment where it goes into his memory where because all he can remember is the past 80 years or so and how much Earth has changed in that time.
Yeah.
And also kind of how strange he feels because he doesn't know he's a Time Lord. As far as he's aware, he's alone. And he's just this odd immortal living on the planet Earth.
There's something quite romantic about the Doctor living alone, isn't there? When we come back to it again and again, like Douglas Adams wanted to do it originally in Sharda but didn't. I think we get it on audio a couple of times. It happens in the Snowmen in the new series, and a couple of the pitches for a Doctor Who show in the 90s were like, oh, it's an amnesiac Doctor kind of retired on Earth. So it's quite like it's something that's never really goes away.
Well, it's because it's never expected that he's going to settle down. Even with the River Song stuff, it was quite clearly stated that this is an adventure that he's on, but he will always kind of remain alone. And it's just that thing about the asexual traveller and explorer who just wants to read books and do watercolours and whatever. Like in Stockbridge, he was kind of living his kind of isolated Earth life there. Until
he turns into David Tennant and then he just wants to fuck everything.
Yeah.
Dirty Tennant. Coming back to this, I felt very nostalgic in that I knew I'd read it and I couldn't remember a thing about it, but the moment I started reading it, it all came flooding back. Like that, not word for word, but like beat for beat, like that first chapter, like where they're describing Derbyshire in the snow and all that. I was like, oh, this is, I remember this. Yeah. It was like a missing adventure from my own life.
Yeah.
So, how did you find coming back to it all these years later?
Well, I can't remember. The last one of these books that I would have read would have been maybe the Gallifrey Chronicles, which is again by Lance Parkin, which finished them off. And I was just getting used to the pace of it because I like reading, and it was just interesting to gauge the pace of them and how much they fit in, because it's kind of... They go at a really quick pace, and so it's very kind of stripped bare prose describing action, like thingy appeared and then he shot him. So it's not a Target book.
Yeah.
But it's like halfway between a book and a novelization in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, all of the bits of it kind of came back to me, and there were bits that I didn't remember as well. Because it did make a big impression. This was a big event book at the time.
Yeah.
I remember even like the cover stood out at the time as being quite striking. Now I look at it and it's quite dated Photoshop, but the idea behind it is quite a good one.
Those quite dated Photoshops, though, promised a world of adventure when you were a kid, didn't they?
They did. I think the impression was that everyone thought that the publishers, but the designers behind them didn't really try. But I think you can get the impression when they're phoning it in, and when the author has probably really, really like rang them up and said you should do this and do that. Yeah. And something like Father Time.
It's a good idea, isn't it?
It's so good that makes me think that Lance Parkin has rang up the designer at the BBC publishers and said, do this. And they have done it. It's just they're not very good. So it's obviously a couple of stock photos put together. It's because the stock imagery used was always so obvious. Yeah. So as Doctor Who fans, you always knew the publicity images of the Doctors they were using.
Yeah.
And also with Paul McGann, they barely had any as well. So they only had about 3 that they just recycled. And then the other bits of Shutterstock that they put on there were just really obviously stock.
Yeah.
But I just wonder what it was like for the designer who had that job. I wonder how many other books they were working on, or whether...
Were they called Black Sheep, something like that? I feel like they were called that. But I think they were probably doing their best, because we've got to remember, this isn't like now.
Yeah.
Like, it may be a slightly shoddy bit of work, but I think people are getting used to, not having the painted illustrations that they've had for years and years. Like, it's the same film posters were changing from paintings at that point to, computers. Because nowadays it's all done on computers, Anyway, we digress about the covers. So, there's a prologue where they're talking about the enemy.
Yeah.
Who is that enemy? I didn't get that bit.
So...
Is it Miranda, or are they talking about the Doctor?
No, so this is set after the Ancestor Cell, when Gallifrey's been destroyed, and they were like, we want to get rid of all of this continuity arc stuff about some fictional enemy and faction paradox and all of that. But this is essentially referencing that same stuff. And it's got full of similar, there's lots of mythology behind the motives of the villains, but it's not, you can kind of ignore it if you want to. But what has been I think what Lance Parkin has actually said explicitly is that the Clade, who are the villains in the book, are meant to be the Daleks.
Right.
So Clade is an anagram of Dalek, and this is one of those kind of 8th Doctor book wild story ideas where their idea is that this is some far, far, far flung version of the Daleks from the future, where they're back in human form, I guess they were before as
Carlids.
As the Carlids. Yeah. So Carlids, Daleks, Clade.
Daleks, Carlids, Clade.
Yeah.
That's great.
No, Carlids, Dalek, Clade. That's the order.
Yes, of course.
All together. Obviously, the Doctor doesn't know he's a Time Lord. Miranda just has 2 hearts. And so there's all these allusions to her lineage, but the Doctor never quite knows how he fits into that. Yeah. But behind it is essentially the idea that it's the Time Lords and the Daleks at war in the far future, when nobody's recognisable and all the names have been changed and dropped.
Well, that's exciting stuff.
Yeah.
That has blown my tiny little fan mind. So it's set in the 80s. Do you think it does a good job of selling the decade?
It begins with quite a self-conscious description by the author of how things are different then. I don't know, it could be set in any... It's only in the middle bits when it goes very 80s, and that's when the Doctor is working as a businessman and advisor to city firms, and there's mentions to the car that he drives and things like that, and that feels 80s, but beyond that it's a bit like any kind of sleepy English village Doctor Who story.
I think the start is, but then as you say, that when you get into the city, there's obviously sort of generic kind of 80s cultural reference points like Guns N' Roses and Bill and Ted and things like that. But the thing that felt the most 80s to me was there's a guy called Salak.
Yeah.
And he is an alien and he's arrested by the police and he spends his time in jail. And when he escapes, he goes to live on an abandoned
tower block,
which is kind of how I picture the 80s of these abandoned tower blocks that Thatcher's pulling down, and that there's wastelands of a bit like parts of Birmingham basically.
Yeah.
So that's and I love that idea also of an alien being in a human jail and just being essentially forced to kind of make friends with his cellmate. It felt weirdly hopeless in a dystopian way. I thought it was great fun.
Yeah, his scenes are a bit Sweeney-ish.
Yeah.
And that it's all about prisoners and policemen and everyone just being a bit rotten.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the other thing that it does is that the book is split into 3 parts, which are all named after cartoons of the 80s. So you've got Battle of the Planets, Masters of the Universe, and Defenders of the Earth. But the most 80s thing about it is there's a suggested soundtrack for each chapter.
Yeah.
Now, the book's biggest mistake, and this isn't really a big mistake, is that comes at the end.
Yeah.
So if you did want to listen to each of those songs, you've just read the book and you're like, oh, I could have listened to these songs while I was doing it. But because I'm that sort of person, I have put that together as a playlist on Spotify, which I'll put in the show notes for the 2 people that want to listen to that. But I thoroughly enjoyed listening to it.
I think he put a playlist at the back of every book he wrote.
Did he really?
I think he did it for the Gallifrey Chronicles.
Oh, that's exciting. I'm going to have a look. I'm just going to listen to... I only listen to the music that Lance Parkin listens to.
Well,
now.
this was from an age when you couldn't really share music. There were no CDs, no computers. You just would look into the back of Doctor Who books. And under the candlelight, you would read song titles and...
Imagine what the songs were like.
Yeah, well, I think you carve them out into a wax cylinder.
Of course.
You turn that.
You go down your local library,
Yeah.
get out a stone tablet, which would have the words to an Adam and the Ant song on.
Yeah.
You were talking a little bit there about kind of the prison bit being a bit Sweeney-ish.
Yeah.
But the story itself, it's like a proper noughties Doctor Who.
Yeah.
But with like proper human drama at its core. Do you think the sci-fi bit comes secondary? Do you think they mesh well? Are they intertwined?
I think it works. It feels like a very modern Doctor Who for the first 2 acts of the book. So the one where Miranda's a child and then the one where she's a teenager.
Yeah.
And it's very much like a modern, like aliens on modern day with, you know, big effects and chases and confrontations and lots of human drama. And at the end it goes into a full-on space opera.
Yeah.
He kind of jams in a big Star Wars style invasion of the Death Star at the last minute.
You don't watch Star Wars, do you? Invasion of the Death Star.
Yeah, well, like infiltration of the Death Star.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Now I get you.
Yeah.
Just Invasion of the Death Star sounded.
It's all bollocks, isn't it?
Yeah. I think this is done purposefully, but it feels like the sci-fi elements are all very pulpy.
Yeah.
They're all very 50s. There are flying saucers and UFO hunters. She's the last of her kind, you know, but she was a princess. There's galactic unions and things like that.
And most importantly, there's a transformer.
There's a transformer.
There's a car that's a robot, which is probably that's the thing that I thought you could definitely see that happening in the show now.
Exactly.
Or at least when Russell T Davies was doing
and
it.
will be doing it.
Yeah, the assassins drive a car that turns into a big robot and smashes stuff
cool.
up. Again, Transformers, 80s.
Yeah. So the most shocking thing that happens that really made me kind of go, oh, this is different, is that Miranda finds her date in bed with her best mate.
Yes.
That's the sort of cliffhanger that I was not expecting within a Doctor Who book or in a Doctor Who story.
Yeah.
And I was like, the fucking bastard. And they say that modern Doctor Who's too soapy. But it's a coming-of-age story. And, you know, it's this whole thing of you are not your parents, but you are your parents. So she's fighting against her genetics and then fighting against her adopted father, the Doctor.
Yeah.
And ultimately, she does kind of become him. And I think her story works really well. So let's talk a little bit about Miranda.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think she's a good lead. I think she's an interesting character. She's my favourite of the Doctor's daughters. I'll be honest, my favourite bits is the introduction of her as a kid, because they go on, they turn it into the Queen's Gambit.
Okay.
So the Doctor arrives at the school chess club, and he plays multiple games. So he plays a game with every single pupil at the same time and goes around the classroom, dashing around, making all the moves. And Miranda's the only one that faces off against him. And that's the one thing that I just thought that is the Doctor's daughter. Even though in this she's not. She is. The Doctor adopts her. There's no genetic line going on there.
Yeah.
But that little thing, I just thought that is what the Doctor's daughter would do. Like,
Yeah.
she'd be able to beat him at chess.
That feels, yeah.
The teenage stuff, there's some interesting stuff, and I feel like it might have been better handled by perhaps another writer. As a teenager, she's written as quite misunderstanding of how to behave and not knowing what the right code is, because she's pretty much like a complete brainiac genius, but has no idea how to... And also she's very beautiful as well, but then she has no idea how to interact with her peers.
Yeah.
By the time that it's finished, she's 19, and she's very... she's been travelling around a bit. Yeah, there's something of the Eighth Doctor about her, in that she's very just happy-go-lucky and just wants to fix things and is interested in science and how things work and doesn't quite get people.
Yeah, and I love the idea that a little girl could be seen as containing the seed of genetic evil.
Yeah.
And it deals a lot with teenage angst, her teenage angst.
Yeah.
The idea of fitting in and not fitting in. But by the end of it, as you say, she is the Doctor. You know, she starts a revolution in 10 minutes. She realises that she loves her dad, even though she thought she'd burnt all the bridges. And, you know, obviously in the end she goes off to take on the Empire by herself, which is perfect kind of Doctor-ish material. Lance Parkin said it was his blatant attempt to write his own human nature. He says, "I love that book, and what I love about it is having the Doctor confront his human side and find himself wanting. That line about 2 hearts and no love. The Doctor can do all these fantastical things, but he's not quite a full human being. He's not quite emotionally literate," which I guess is a lot like you were saying Miranda is there.
At the end of it, she gets given the title like supreme ruler of everything.
Yeah.
But she's like, the Doctor is very flippant about it and she doesn't want the title, but he's just going to use it to do the good that she can, which is very Doctor-ish.
Of course. What do you think about the relationship between the Doctor and Miranda?
For the first act, the Doctor's just trying to investigate what's going on. For the second act, he is her adopted father, and he's there's some nice jokes in there because she's beginning to take an interest in boys, and there's a quite funny scene where the Doctor meets her date. What's her date's name?
Bob.
He meets Bob, and he's continually like nervous as to how to behave around the Doctor.
Yeah.
And he keeps just being quite innocent about it and not kind of... He doesn't really know how to be fatherly in that regard. He's just like, oh, who's this you brought along? And that's good. And then the most significant thing that happens between the Doctor and Miranda, because they don't have that many scenes together. They're apart for a lot of the book.
Yeah, their relationship kind of happens in like a decade that's off page.
Yeah.
You know?
The most significant thing that happens is that she kills one of the Clades that is out to get her.
Yeah.
Which is obviously not what the Doctor would do, and she's so ashamed by it that she goes on the run, and the Doctor covers for her to save her getting arrested. That's quite a good cliffhanger, because that's exactly the kind of moral quandary that you want the Doctor to face with, you know, a relative in a way, and it's, you know, something that the Doctor's daughter never really does in a way, in that they set that up by saying she's a soldier, but does she kill anyone in the Doctor's daughter? Whereas this kind of tackles the morality head on, and the most powerful image in the book is the idea that it is he meets her as a young girl. Because that's the thing about being a parent, is that it's about the symbolic thing of the Doctor being a dad, is that he has a young and vulnerable loved one that he needs to care for. Whereas comparing this again to the Doctor's daughter, she's already an adult, so where's the drama in that? It's like, well, she's totally self-sufficient. I mean, she's only been alive for 5 minutes in the episode, but all of the actual caring for and the upbringing and the protection that parents give their kids is entirely removed from the Doctor's daughter with Stephen by Stephen Greenhorn. Whereas this is a lot more potent because he meets her when she's still in school. Yeah,
and spends a decade with her, raising her. In his own way.
And having said that, by the time she's in secondary school, it almost takes on this kind of... She almost becomes Susan in a way.
Why would you say that?
Because they're both Time Lords at school, at secondary school, both very intelligent, not quite fitting in. I just think Miranda's a bit more laid back than Susan is.
You're not as fucking annoying as Susan.
Yeah.
It deals a lot with teenage angst, and it's a coming of age story, but it's not just her coming of age story. It's as much Ferran's as it is. So Ferran is a petulant child throughout it. The best scene he has is when they meet, her and Ferran meet, and he's thinking about killing her, and before he knows it, he's kissing her.
Yeah, it's really because he's written as just a complete psycho kid who's just like, I just need to kill this person and then I'll be free and then just wants vengeance. And then it's kind of quite believable that as a teenager he'd then be like, oh my God, I love her. It's really quite funny.
And yeah, because they do that thing beforehand where they go to a pub and, putting an alien warlord in a pub is very funny because it's an often used trope in Doctor Who of like, oh, I don't know what a pint is, I shall kill everyone. Yeah. But him falling in love with her, and then he fucks off for a bit, and then he builds an android of her. Yes. So his obsession takes a different form. Yeah. Like it goes from going, I want to kill her to I want to marry this lady.
Yeah. I feel like Miranda should be more freaked out than she is by the end of the book at like some of the stuff that happens to her.
Yeah, it's true. And then, like, also on the human drama side, you've got Debbie, who's almost like a pseudo companion for this story. She's an 80s gal, isn't she? Yeah. She's married. She's in a relationship it's not quite an abusive relationship. It's just an unhappy marriage of like, there's a man who doesn't know how to communicate and a woman who just would like a better life.
Yeah, she's married too soon and she just doesn't quite know how she's ended up where she is. And so there's a lot of kind of new series type romance between Debbie and the Doctor, in that to her he is this very magical, he is essentially the perfect replacement husband to the unhappy marriage that she's in. And I think that's actually really nicely played because, again, one of the things that Russell T Davies did, he was always like, the thing about people need to travel with the Doctor because it changes their lives and it's the best thing that has happened to them, which was lost towards the 80s in the TV show. Yeah. And Lance Parkin gets that here. He's like, the Doctor is the best man that Debbie has met, which is why she keeps coming back to him over the decades of the book.
And Barry thinks they're having an affair and headbutts the Doctor.
Yes, yeah.
You don't get that in a Doctor Who book. A Doctor Who TV show.
You get Rusty Davies would write that because Jackie slapped the Doctor.
That's true. And then Barry ends up in a coma and ultimately dead.
Yeah.
And that's quite a sad fate. But, yes. Then Debbie's like, actually, you kind of from her point of view, she's like, it's actually a bit of a relief that he's in a coma and that he's dead.
Fuck Barry.
And then 30 pages before the end, they kill Debbie.
Yeah, that was grim.
That came out of the blue.
That was very sad, very grim. I don't know if it was that necessary. It doesn't really change the plot. It just shows how horrible the villain is.
Yeah, it did come out of the blue, and I was just like, holy shit.
Yeah, as in, as much as I hate the recycle cliche of characters dying and then being brought back, this was bizarrely one of the cases where I just thought they should have brought her back. Yeah. As in, that would have been more interesting than just, been this really nice woman, let's just kill her.
Mm-hmm. It's quite an unforgiving and relentless story. Like, there's a lot of death in there.
Yes.
Barry's in his coma and is woken up and then killed straight away. You've got Arnold Knight, the UFO spotter at the beginning, and there's this weird moment where he experiences his own death.
Yes.
Which is neatly done. And you get all these people, like Ferren may be the main villain, but you've got Prefect Zevron, and you've got Salak, and you've got Thelash and Rum. They all appear and just fuck up some poor human's life that's kind of sort of an innocent bystander, and then disappear off because they're after Miranda.
Yeah, but the threat works, like especially at the beginning. Like, he writes these in a TV episode, the way that incidental characters are killed off at the beginning by the threat. He writes that in the book actually really, really well, and particularly Thelash and Rum, the assassins, are really quite intimidating as villains. I think they're sold quite well, and they've got this unique thing in that it's a male and female assassin, but the man has essentially a woman's voice and the woman has a man's voice, and it just kind of works as quite an odd, unusual thing about them that makes them alien.
Yeah, they kind of take on that form of, like, it's almost like in the 11th Hour where the
man and the dog.
The man and the dog, it's like you get the impression they've taken on human form but haven't got it quite right. And they describe just being slightly too tall and stuff. It's like an approximation of a human. And they come across really creepy. it's a tightly plotted story. Like, I wasn't sitting there going, oh, this is full of plot holes, and oh, how are they going to, like, so even things that when they set them up in previous chapters and stuff, you're not automatically going, oh, well, they're going to do that, and they're going to do that. Like, as you said, like, it's a simple style of prose, but it's enough to keep you entertained and intrigued. Like, I couldn't have, like, we talked about doing books before, and it's like, the thought of having to get through one of the shitter Eighth Doctor adventures or New Adventures is like, it would take me months and months and months because I just wouldn't have the willpower. But I was on holiday and I read this and got through it in a couple of days. Like, there's enough story there to just keep you going. One of the things I really liked was the way Ferran finds Miranda towards the end. Yeah. She was played in a film of somebody's life by Jodie Foster.
Yes.
The person that she lost her virginity to, I think, is the implication. Yeah. And he makes a film about his life later on, and because they can time travel, go, oh, it was on this night in this place, and that is such a Doctor Who sort of thing. Yeah. And to throw in the in the 2017 film about this German guy's life, being played by Jodie Foster. Yeah.
One of my,
I know Jodie Foster's daughter.
Yeah. It's just a little thing that I liked about it is that the amnesiac Doctor creates the sonic screwdriver again. Yeah. But it's based on Earth technology, so it's the sonic suitcase. Yeah. And I think at one point he does go, so it's a suitcase full of electronics that he has to set up to open doors. And at one point I think he goes, even the sonic suitcase won't get me out of this one.
There's loads of little lovely touches like that. But let's talk about the Doctor a little bit, because you talk about the sonic suitcase and stuff, and there's a character called Rex who calls the Doctor Thatcherism personified. Yeah. Which I thought was brilliant. The idea that the Doctor can go into this 80s business world and essentially goes into businesses and makes them more efficient. But
and he takes a cut of the money, and that's how he survives.
Yeah. The impression is he makes them more efficient and more pleasant businesses. Yeah. If it was an oil company, he'd find a way to give them sustainable energy or something like that. So it's a great way of the Doctor surviving in this little world.
Well, it's this joke that he's hacked capitalism, because he goes to these companies and he says, well, now I think we've just tripled your profits. And they go, right, so who do we cut? And he was like, why would we want to fire people? We don't need to do that. And it's just this joke that he's figured out somehow to just make all business work without any kind of losses or anything like that.
Yeah. Strangely, I can see the Eighth Doctor, Paul McGann, as a millionaire businessman, whereas I couldn't imagine Patrick Troughton doing that, or Christopher Eccleston. Yeah. It's kind of uniquely him in a way. Like, there aren't many Doctors who can get away with it. Maybe Peter Davison, but he isn't charming enough. But I like seeing the Doctor in this environment, but he's still recognisably the Doctor in a way that, like, I don't know whether they do it in previous books where they give him his personality back bit by bit, or whether it is just the Doctor's lost his memory, but he's still the same person. So there's some interesting stuff he does, like, for instance, his interest in kids is never seen as creepy. Yeah. And the game of chess we talked about before, and, you know, he lets Barry win at pool, but by beating him. Yeah. Because he pots every ball, including the black in the wrong order or something like that. And it's just very kind of, there's lots of little doctorish moments, and then he turns a bunch of people into roses.
Yes.
In that flat, everything turns into roses, which is quite Blue Meanie, I think. Miranda refers to Iris coming to stay. Is that a real story? Do you know?
No, I think that didn't happen in the books.
Okay. Is there much more you want to say about Father Time?
So, Miranda appeared in the books one more time.
Okay.
Which is in a book called Sometime Never. Right. Which was by Justin Richards, and it closed off the Sabbath arc. Right. And Miranda appears with her own daughter.
Oh, holy shit.
Who is a young girl called Zezanne. Oh. And Miranda is killed in that book. Oh. But her granddaughter survives. And they do some really, really weird shit where they take Miranda's daughter, so the Doctor's granddaughter, and she goes off with this kind of weird skeleton creature that's meant to be a representation of the Doctor. And the idea is that they go off to this other universe and become another version of the Doctor and Susan. Wow. It's utter fan wank, and it doesn't mean anything at all.
That is. So, what happens to the Doctor after this book?
He meets Fitz. So, the next book after this, I think there's maybe 5 in total. So, you had The Burning, Casualties of War, The Turing Test, Father Time, and then Escape Velocity, which is then what, 2003 or whatever, a present day Earth story where the TARDIS finally works again, and he meets Fitz and his next companion Angie, and they finally can time travel again.
Ah, exciting stuff. I've just realised I know where the Iris thing happens. Lance Parkin wrote 2 stories set between the events of the novel, and Iris Explains was published in a charity anthology called Missing Pieces that shows the Jane Fonda version of Iris visiting the Doctor and Miranda. And The School of Doom, published in Mythmakers 12, which I think is like a fanzine that the Dwas used to do or still do, features the Doctor and Miranda facing the headmaster on the first day of school. So they're just little bits you could chuck in.
Iris Wildtime is the RuPaul of the Doctor universe.
We'll have to try and do an Iris something or other one day.
Yeah.
But I remember listening to some of those audios when I was trying to consume all things that Big Finish did and finding them quite enjoyable.
We could do the Wormery.
The Wormery is a good chat. Coming soon, guys, the Wormery.
Yeah.
So, I think this is one of the best Doctor Who stories that you could possibly tell. And I think you could do it in any medium. I think you could adapt this to TV. You could do whatever you wanted with it. I thoroughly fucking enjoyed it.
Yes, I think it's great.
A unanimous, it bangs.
It bangs.
Fantastic.
Too hot for TV.
So you would think the events of Father Time would finish there.
Yeah.
But Miranda only goes and gets a bloody spin-off comic, doesn't she?
Yeah.
So there were 3 of what was hoped to be 6 issues released. They came out in January, March and May of 2003. The comic strip running in Doctor Who magazine was Oblivion, and then Doctor Who and the Nightmare Game, which was about football. The VHS releases were still going with the Time Lord collection, and the DVDs of Resurrection of the Daleks and Seeds of the Death. Seeds of the Death? Seed of the Death. Seeds of Death. On CD, you had the Space Pirates and the Savages, so they were really getting towards those missing episodes that a lot of people thought they didn't want to hear. BBC Books, we had The Infinity Race featuring the 8th Doctor, and then The Blue Box by Kate Orman featuring the 6th Doctor, and a Benny book called The Green-Eyed Monster. Big Finish-wise, we've got The Sandman, we've got Bang Bang a Boom, we've got Paul McGann Talks Back, we've got 2 Sarah Jane CDs, Test of Nerve, which we've covered before, and Mirror Signal Maneuver, along with Dalek War, Chapter 3. Other exciting news. Liz Hurley had been on a shopping trip to Harrods buying DVDs, including The League of Gentlemen and Doctor Who. She apparently told staff Doctor Who was great, but only with John Pertwee.
Ooh.
Yeah, exciting stuff. Sharda with Paul McGann had just been recorded. They just announced Doctor Who Unbound. The play Doctor Who Warsmith had been at the Theatre Royal in Plymouth. And then the Sunday Mirror ran a story on the 16th of March claiming the League of Gentlemen were to make a new series of Doctor Who.
Bullshit.
It was, in fact, that they all said as much. But we're not too far away from that pitch by
Mark
Gatiss, Clayton Hickman and Gareth Roberts, so maybe there's no truth to the League of Gentlemen doing it. What do you think about the idea of a League of Gentlemen noughties Doctor Who reboot?
It would have been what we've mentioned before. It would have been probably exactly the same as Randall and Hopkirk.
Yeah.
Deceased, the remake, which I loved, and I feel like it made a big impression. I just don't know why they ever didn't continue it, or whether they... If Vic Reeves and Bob Mortimer, I just got sick of it because they weren't great actors.
Oh, wow. There you go.
They're good comedians, but these weren't prime-time TV actors.
Yeah, no, it's true. But that was still a prime-time BBC One show. Other stuff going on. The Patrick Troughton episode of Adam Adamant Lives was found in the BBC archives, which had previously thought to have been lost. Football news, because Doctor Who fans love football.
2-0?
Yeah, 1-1 to everyone. The CV of the new Watford Football Club chairman, Graham Simpson, he played minor roles on TV, including Z-Cars, Barlow at Large and Doctor Who. And as it says here, yes, who could forget his famous role in Image of the Fendal as the Hitcher?
Ooh.
Isn't that exciting?
So he's a football manager?
Yeah, and he was the guy that gets killed at the beginning of Image of the Fendal.
For which team?
Watford.
Oh, okay.
What?
Are you going to say England?
Yes, the England
That's
manager.
the only football team that I know. England.
Too hot for TV.
After the events of Father Time, Miranda awakes on the mothership where an attempt on her life is made. It seems many people wish to kill her before the news spreads of her coronation. She goes to see Ferran, who gives her a short history lesson on the Empire. The universe is in chaos and she must restore order. They arrive at a vast space station called the Needle, built by Miranda's ancestors. Miranda can't comprehend its hugeness. She needs to focus on something small, so she looks at a cloth which a handmaiden gave her, which reads, "Follow him and he will kill you. He is just using you." When a further attempt on her life is made, Miranda flees with the handmaiden, who is called Kelly. They escape to an uncharted area of the Needle where they meet Mick Gideon, but Mick is gunned down by Rum and Thelash.
Too hot for TV.
So this comic picks
Yes.
up directly from the end of Father Time. Were you expecting this?
No.
No, not at all. And it begins with almost a recap of Father Time,
Yeah.
but without the Doctor.
Yeah.
We get the fall of the Berlin Wall, we get her losing her virginity, we get her abducted by aliens. Do you think you need to know about Father Time or Doctor Who to understand it?
So my impression of the premise was that you can make Miranda as a character work in a comic and have her own series, but the way that they do it, by following straight on from Father Time, I think it would be quite confusing to people who know what the fuck that was going on.
Like, you get the premise of a young girl as an alien,
Yeah.
but it's almost like it needed an issue beforehand that kind of retold key points of Father Time, but without the Doctor.
Yeah, you want it to begin with her on Earth having a normal life and then being abducted by these aliens, not her just saying, "Oh, I've just been abducted, this is what's happened, and this is where I am."
Yeah.
And there's some nice storytelling in it. There's some funny lines and good punchlines in describing what it's like for her being sent into space. But I didn't expect it to be literally like carrying directly on from the last page of
me
Father Time
neither.
in a comic.
I don't know what I was expecting. I guess I was kind of assuming that you would get her as a space adventurer sort of thing, but it is a direct continuation. They also don't mention the Doctor anywhere, which I think is a good thing. You know, in a lot of these kind of spin-offs, you get like a knowing the dentist or met some old guy on Metabelus 3.
Yeah.
So they just kind of, they truncate the Father Time story, don't mention the Doctor, and it's back onto an adventure. But it does, I think, leave you slightly, if you don't know the character, like, there's not a lot of introduction development to the character of who she is. She's just a schoolgirl in space.
Yeah.
How does this feel? I guess perhaps the comics you've read outside of this may not be applicable, but how does this feel compared to, say, a non-Doctor Who comic to you?
It just doesn't have enough of the setup. Like, I think Miranda works as an approachable character in the scenarios. It just doesn't have the setup that you need. And a reason why I haven't bought a lot of comics. So I read The Walking Dead, and the thing about that was that it was in volumes that I could begin with from the start. And the fact that it was an ongoing series, you could get into it. Whereas with a lot of superhero comics, it's like, where do you start? Because there's so many different generations and reboots and takes on things.
Yeah.
And also just picking up an issue from Off a Forbidden Planet, it's like, well, how do you get your bearings on it? And bizarrely, this had that same thing, even though it's the start of a new series.
Yeah.
You feel like there's still 3 other back issues that you haven't read with issue 1.
Yeah, it's a difficult one to get into, but when you do get in there, I think it works quite well. But let's talk a little bit about the art, because it's got quite a convoluted history of who's doing what. So issue 1 is Alan Bednar, and it has this kind of beautiful cover that's kind of Matrix influenced, and it's got like strange looking robots and this unusual looking schoolgirl in the middle, but it's not like an overly sexualized schoolgirl like a lot of comics would do. And you get that great center page that's full color of like aliens and this sort of half Terminator looking thing, and sells the alienness of the galaxy. And then there's that kind of the needle that you see at the end, which they're trying to sell as light years long.
Yeah.
It feels like quite a cohesive style in that first one. By the time we get to issue 2, it's Alan Bednar again and Robert Blankus. So Alan does pages 1 and then 12 to 16 and the cover, while Robert does pages 2 to 11 and 17 to 20. And I don't know whether this is because of the turnaround time. I think that the artwork is good, but I actually got a little lost in the middle of the story. Like, when Miranda's being attacked. She's attacked from above by this flying thing.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I couldn't work out
What was going
what
on?
was going on, how she escaped,
Yeah.
who helped her escape, and who was attacking her.
Yeah.
Did you notice the change in artist, and did you find that confusing?
I didn't notice the change in art. I just noticed that it became quite difficult to follow. As in, some of the big action pieces were very hard to follow.
So issue 3, it's all done by Miguel Montenegro, and you get... It's almost like a complete... I mean, it's a different artist, but the style's changed again compared to how it was in the first few. And then you obviously get the colour page, which gives you this Mick Gideon.
Yeah.
You get this big kind of pulpy sci-fi image. What did you think of that?
So the thing that in issue 3, they have a colour centre spread where there's a character's introduced, and so what they do for the colour centre spread is they do essentially like a faux futuristic poster advertising this hero like a film star, and it's full of I think it's been hand painted, and I'm sure it took the artist a long time, but it's really odd because the faces aren't that well done, and but the whole point is that he's meant to be shown as this really heroic and handsome film star of an action hero, and he just doesn't look like it at all. So I just feel like they must have been up against, there was clearly like some budget issues going on, or they were up against a deadline. Yeah,
like, we'll talk a little bit about why it didn't continue in a bit, but it certainly feels like it's an incoherent series, I would say, in terms of its visual style. Since Father Time, Lance Parkin had done Trading Futures for the BBC 8th Doctor range, and then he'd also done Primeval and Davros for Big Finish. Does this feel like one of his Doctor Who stories?
It's got the pace of it in terms of the pace of Father Time and the pace of this comic feel consistent, and he's always fine. Like there's always pretty much a plot twist or a punchline being thrown in there somewhere. It just, you're not quite sure. The only thing it's lacking is probably the emotional arc of his other works, and you're just following these adventures of this girl, but you're not quite sure what it all means. As in, it's interesting what's happening to her, but you don't actually know what the heart of the story is.
Yeah, you're not. There's nothing for new readers to invest in.
But you are interested in what happens to Miranda and where she goes. It's just that whereas as Father Time is a book about the Doctor becoming a father, it's called Miranda, and it's just, this is some stuff that happens to Miranda.
Yeah, it's a vast universe that he creates, and he puts a lot into that universe. You know, we get to see a brief history of that universe on that double page spread in the first issue. And the universe is in chaos, and Miranda's father bought a golden age, or Miranda's ancestors bought a golden age.
The needle is incredibly well realised, the way it's introduced. And you know the needle is from the 8th Doctor books.
Is it really?
So the needle...
Fucking A.
The needle, I think, is a Time Lord library. So that's what... By the 3rd issue, if you are a Doctor Who fan, you're suddenly like, okay, so Miranda is the last Time Lord in this old Gallifreyan library that is so old that people don't know who owns it. So she might be able to open it up. So it's leading to some kind of covert Time Lord revelations unfolding in a way that's not going to put off readers. But the needle first appeared in the Infinity Doctors by Lance Parkin.
Well, there you go. I didn't realise that at all.
Yeah.
It's such a vast kind of space station. I love the idea that they've got this space station that is unexplored. Like, there's areas of it that they just don't have control over.
Yeah.
I also like the idea that they just need a leader to keep things in some form of kind of order, which, you know, is feels very precedent today, doesn't it? But, you know, it's this thing of, we just need someone in charge who can sort of keep things in line, even if it is the spawn of the people we hated.
Yes. Yeah.
Which Boris Johnson? I don't know. So yeah, it is a nice little world that they build, and there are nice touches like Miranda can't comprehend the hugeness of the needle, which I think is really well done, and she describes Liverpool as the zone of the living death.
Yes.
You know, it does have a bit of fun to it. And then she meets Mick Gideon, who's this pulpy character, who, as you say, gets that big spread and then is immediately killed.
Yes.
We assume he's dead. Maybe he comes back, I don't know, or was planned to come back.
Yeah.
And he's killed by Thelash and Rum. And when they showed up, I was like, fucking hell. Yeah. It's those guys. But I was a bit disappointed by them in the comic.
Well, I think it's hard to sell them just through comic book art, because, again, you don't get a sense of their voices, They look very stereotypical. They're jumpsuits and long hair.
Yeah.
Like any kind of like Fantastic Four character. Mm-hmm. But I think that's just the limit of
But when I read the book, I guess, and I guess it's partly me, I didn't picture like them. I pictured them like almost like a attractive version of like Oak and Quill from the Fury from the Deep. Like I thought they were creepier than they were.
Yeah, but I think that's a costume thing. I think they're creepy on Earth in normal outfits. Put them in space outfits, and they're not that threatening.
Into kind of generic sci-fi baddies.
Yeah.
What do you think this is tonally similar to, be it Doctor Who or other things?
I've never seen this film, but I presume it's a bit like it. Is it a bit Guardians of the Galaxy?
No, I think Guardians of the Galaxy is a bit funnier.
Okay.
I mean, perhaps a little bit, but to me it feels a little bit Matrix. It feels a little bit Sucker Punch. It feels a little bit like Kick-Ass. Hit Girl in Kick-Ass.
Is it a bit like the Lost in Space film with Joey from Friends?
Possibly, yes, but not in a bad way. People seem to hate that film. I was like, it's got Gary Oldman in it. Can't be that bad. This is that point where I think in comics and in sci-fi you're starting to get these female heroes that aren't just there to get their tits out, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, this story has got like 3 strong female leads and there are only 2 men really in it. And that's Ferran, who's the bad guy, and then Mick Gideon, who gets killed. And they're both 2 sides of like the man baby.
Yeah.
One that thinks he's like, I'm the alpha super great, I'm a fantastic guy, I'm Mick Gideon, and the other one's just like a spoilt brat that we've met, and the other one like the big bully. So it's certainly, that feels like where that kind of popular culture was going at that point of like, we are starting to create female protagonists who aren't just there for fanboys to oogle over.
Well, that's why I thought it's a good premise for a comic. It's just not established in an approachable way that anybody can read. You want 5 issues of Miranda just on Earth getting involved in scrapes and japes.
How does it compare to the Faction Paradox comic we did?
Oh, it's a lot easier to just get through, and you can see this at home in Forbidden Planet, whereas the Faction Paradox comic is just chucking a million ideas at the wall and seeing what sticks. Whereas it's like we were talking about it. We just said you just want to focus on one character in that Faction Paradox comic, and in this they get it right. So it's called Miranda. We just follow Miranda.
Yeah,
and we like her. Interesting stuff happens. It's just not told in the right order for the story to really hold you. Yeah.
So issue 4 was advertised as being available in July 2003, but it never happened, which is a shame. From a 2009 interview, Lance Parkin said, Miranda was hugely popular. The comic ground to a halt for money reasons. It was the first product of a new company and sold shed loads, but every single thing that was done was a learning curve, and I think it cost more to print an issue than it was being sold for, at which point selling shed loads is a problem. It is not a good thing. I was at the Bristol Comic Convention plugging it, and a well-known figure in the British comics industry said, we need to get more people to see this. How many first issues did you sell? And we told him, and they said, but that's what 2000 AD sells. So it seemed to be doing fairly well, but I just guess the company couldn't hack it, and I guess that's why you get that turnaround of different artists and them just trying to get it out regularly.
Business 101.
I know.
Cut out the colour centre spread. Save some money. You don't need that.
Do what Lawrence Miles did in his comic and do like 6 pages of comic and then just write crap for 4 pages.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
How can you produce something like that that's costing more than you're selling it for?
If you don't know what you're doing business wise, then it's very easy to go like, oh well, we need to turn this around. We need to get all these artists in to do things, and it just gets overcomplicated. He said, I always wanted to finish the story off, and he was looking for a way to do it, but it never happened.
Yeah, it's a shame.
It is a shame. I would like to have seen... A lot of these Doctor Who spin-offs don't have legs to run forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
But it would have been nice to see those 6 issues complete their run.
Yeah.
Does it clang? Does it bang? Is it possible to rate this?
I think it's good for what it is. It could be better.
But we don't know where it was going to finish. It might have been the greatest final 3 issues of all time.
Yeah, it's nothing if not interesting. It's not a clanger.
It's not a clanger, and it has potential to bang.
Yeah.
Too hot for TV.
So, we've done Lance Parkin's 2 entries into the Doctor's daughter and how he had...
Phrase that.
Scrap that.
Yeah.
So we've done Lance Parkin's take on the Doctor having a daughter.
Yes.
And in a little change from what we normally do on this podcast, we're going to talk about actual televised Doctor Who.
I didn't know Doctor Who was a TV show until I watched this episode.
Me too. There was an episode called The Doctor's Daughter, which aired on the 10th of May 2008 as part of Series 4. We won't bother with a synopsis for this because, quite frankly, we only do the synopsis because not everybody should have read or listened to what we're covering.
Yeah.
But, quite frankly, if you haven't watched Doctor Who, you're a silly bugger. So, news at the time. Radio 4 is set to broadcast a new 45-minute Torchwood episode in its afternoon play slot, written by Joseph Lidster. I'd forgot there was about 3 or 4, I think, radio plays of Torchwood, like pre-Big Finish. We'll never listen to them, don't worry. Production is underway on Series 2 of the Sarah Jane Adventures. Big Finish go overdrive into Fanwang as they announce the return of the Wirren, the Crotons, and the Key to Time. That's really when they get their fanwank balls deep, don't they? Looking at the DWM from the time, there was so much new Doctor Who crammed into this issue of DWM. Now you get like one interview and then something about like the androids of Tara and oh, look at this photo shoot John Pertwee did for Corned Beef in 1972.
Yeah.
But this is like every page is just interviews with crew, cast, everything. It was like reliving those glory days. How do you feel about this general era, the 4th season of David Tennant, well, the 4th season of the new run and the 3rd season of David Tennant?
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it, as in it was probably about just as popular as the show had been in its 2nd series, which felt like that's when Doctor Who really exploded. I really enjoyed Series 3, so I always felt, as much as I enjoyed Series 4, there was a bit of a lull in the middle where I just thought, I prefer last season.
It was the first time it felt like new Doctor Who was getting a little bit tired in terms of the format. I don't know whether we knew at this point, but we were only a year and a bit away from a new showrunner, a new Doctor to kind of reinvigorate that. To be honest, the thing that helps this season the most is Catherine Tate and her family. I think had it been... This is nothing against Martha Jones, but had it been another season of Freema and David Tennant, I don't know whether... I'm sure it still would have been massively popular still, but I don't know whether it could sustain it.
Yeah.
And I think, you've just had Kylie, and you get someone like Catherine Tate, who's a huge star. All of a sudden, it's like, that's what keeps you in the public eye.
Yes, yeah. But even the people that I knew that loved the show, again, there was a lot of regular viewers who I wouldn't describe as fanboys.
Yeah.
Were suspicious about Catherine Tate and then enjoyed her. Yeah. But she did really divide a few regular viewers as well as just fans.
It was that thing of she was meant to be an annoying character in The Runaway Bride. So everyone was like, oh, I can't take a season of that. But it was never going to be a season of that, was it? It was going to be, you have to make your main characters likeable, which is something that John Nathan Turner learned the hard way.
Yeah.
This season does contain probably my favourite, or at least one of my top 5 Doctor Who stories from the new series or the classic series, which is the Library 2-parter.
Yeah.
So something like that I've seen a billion times.
Yeah.
Whereas this, I've not watched much. So going back to it, it was a little bit like, when they discovered an episode of Galaxy 4 and the Underwater Menace, and even though it's not very good, I was like, oh, I remember this era. This feels a bit, it feels like new old stuff.
Yeah.
So I really disliked this episode, but coming back to it, it gave me a warm, fuzzy feeling, and I was quite enjoying it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like it's a mess of a script, and it is almost Doctor Who on autopilot.
Yeah. Well, that's what a lot of Series 4 felt like.
Yeah.
Like the Poison Sky was pretty much a bit of a pale imitation of. They started in Series 1 with Aliens of London, which is this weird spitting image political kind of goofball comedy, and then they just slowly get more. By now you're just in a straightforward alien invasion story, and it's like I think I preferred it with the Slitheen rather than the Sontarans, and the Doctor's Daughter as well is surprisingly old school, as in it's not the new series on autopilot, it's like all of Doctor Who on autopilot. Yeah it is. And you've got Martha there, and why is Martha there? I don't know.
Like, all she does is get kidnapped by the Hath, saves a Hath's life, and essentially gets that same Hath killed.
Yeah.
And bless Freema, she's doing her best, but she's talking to these bubbling fucking aliens. Forget the Slitheen.
Yeah.
I think the Hath are the worst creation, monster-wise, of the new series. What? They're fish that you shove a bit of water in their face, and they go. Where's the fucking subtitles? Why isn't the TARDIS translating them? And they just look stupid.
Yeah, they would be good with subtitles. That's a good idea. But I prefer them to say like the cactus people.
Do you really?
Yeah, from the end of time.
Well, at least they have personalities.
Yeah, but I don't know. They're quite cute. I think the fish people are quite cute.
And then one of the fish people drowns.
Yeah.
Is that a thing that happens? I don't know. They pissed me off.
Yeah, they made fun of that on the commentary of the episode with Rusty Davis. They said we didn't realise until we shot it that we'd just drowned a fish person. So they added in a sound effect of glass breaking to show that it was somehow suffocating.
Yeah, no, they do. But also, that doesn't look like a comfortable way to live. If you're an evolving species on a planet, presumably the first thing you've got to invent to get out of the sea is that thing that you put in your face.
Yeah.
So they were like underwater doing their science and shit, and they went, do you know what? We're all fine living down here, but we should probably go see what's outside.
Yeah.
So someone needs to invent a soda stream that you put on your face.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Fishy, isn't it?
You're a terrible human being. So let's talk about Jenny. Jenny is the Doctor's daughter. She's not really, though, is she?
No.
I mean, we know Miranda wasn't the Doctor's daughter, but they have a relationship.
Yeah. He adopts her and looks after her as a child and a teenager.
This is the equivalent of like a sperm bank baby, isn't it? Coming to find you. It's like, you share some of the genetics, but she comes out fully clothed. She knows who her dad is. And it's, is that the first thing you do? Like, I'm a program fighter. Oh, this is you wouldn't even know it was your dad. Like, she is the most interesting thing in it, but it's all very surface level kind of, how do we get people in this week? It's the Doctor's daughter.
Yeah, it's just that as an idea, it doesn't work. And the thing is, I liked how in Russell T Davies always planned for the idea that if someone tunes into this episode halfway through, they're still going to enjoy it. That was his approach to, making episodes funny and having interesting guest casts and, putting whatever in it. With this, if you tune in halfway through, you think Jenny's just another companion.
Yeah.
You don't think that she's his daughter, which is why, as I mentioned earlier, it's the imagery of the Doctor with a child that sells it as his son or daughter. Whereas in this, it's just, there's another young pretty woman that's a companion.
She's a lot like Clara, actually.
Yeah.
In terms of the way she's written and kind of the way she's acted.
Yeah.
It doesn't work for me. Like, still the best thing about this season and this story is Donna and the Doctor. Because Catherine Tate is funny. She's given something to do in the plot. Like, she's the one that discovers that the whole war's only been taken over whatever is a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
7 days. And she does her own investigating, and she's always there to kind of challenge the Doctor. But this is really, David Tennant is just where he's too big for his boots, and he does a lot of that gurning acting he does. And in his final speech, he's like, just like doing his heavy breathing acting, and it's like, I'm ready for you to go now, David. You've been great, but I don't need this.
Yeah, there is one scene that I think he does really well, and that's when they're in the prison cell, and he's talking about being a soldier in the Time War, which is surprisingly really is quite understated for him, and it's nicely scored, and that's probably my best bit of the episode.
It does something that I do really like, which is they get straight into the, we come in and they're spinning in an out of control TARDIS, and I hate the setup of things. I just want to be straight into the action a lot of the time, and the energy's got a lot of kind of high octane energy, and it felt to me like there was a pace that I didn't realise had been missing from recent years of Doctor Who, of like, there's dramatic beats every few minutes and there's exciting things happening, and like, new Doctor Who, maybe it's me being more cynical and old, but it doesn't feel like that energy necessarily exists. And I love the most recent series of Doctor Who, but it does feel like perhaps...
Most episodes in the Chibnall era are a bit of a slow burner. Yeah, which I think is just a different approach to it.
Yeah, completely. And also, television has changed in how people watch it and how it's made and kind of the type of stories people are used to.
Yeah, and also the episodes are longer now.
Yeah. Very true, very true. One of the other things that I'd kind of forgotten about is how much Murray Gold reuses the same themes again and again. I remember him doing that quite a lot in the Moffat era, but I didn't think he did it so much in the Tennant era.
Oh yeah.
But they're reused quite a lot, and I know people have different opinions on Murray Gold, but I've forgotten quite how overpowering, but kind of like, I'm getting behind this sort of the music is. Like, he really tells you what to feel in a scene, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And
he'd be a really good gym instructor.
Yeah.
He'd be like just a bit of background music to get everybody running.
But they're playing like these heroic Doctor themes and stuff like that throughout this episode, and I'm just going, this isn't a heroic moment. You're just playing this song, so it doesn't always feel like best suited.
Yeah. Oh fuck! There's the laser beam scene.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel dirty.
So that was inspired by the Britney Spears Toxic video.
Yeah.
That's what Russell T Davies said. But yeah, so she does a flip through some laser beams and stuff, and it's all very exciting. It's a bit of a bottle episode, though, and not in the sense that it's just the regular cast, but it feels like we've got a couple of locations, you've got this amount of extras, and go.
Yeah.
You know? And it's set... So the spaceship they're colonists.
Yeah.
Cloned colonists. They land on this planet, they build a city underground, and then they're going to terraform the planet, which they do. You don't see a shot at the end of the planet being terraformed.
No.
And if you're building a planet, what's the first thing you build? According to this, it's a shoddy old looking theatre.
Yeah. Right, guys, so now that we're here, for a few shows where you guys are building all that shit.
And that screams, because you've got all like these tunnels and stuff like that, and at the beginning as well, you go into this tunnel, which is supposed to be like a war zone.
Yeah.
But then there's just like the most expensive bit of kit, the cloning machine, just in there.
Yeah.
It screams to me like the script's been written.
Yeah.
And they've gone, this is going to be like this war-torn planet or something like that, or these really sci-fi corridors or something. And they've gone, we don't have any money, and they've gone to the locations team. What can you get?
Yeah.
They've got, we've got those corridors at the Millennium, whatever it's called, that you always use.
Yeah.
And we've got a theatre, and they've gone, great, take us to the theatre.
Yeah, and a botanical gardens.
Yes, and the botanical gardens at the end.
Having said that, maybe this ship of colonists is a lot like, the bee arc from The Hitchhiker's Guide to Everything. Maybe it actually was just full of actors and people that work in the media. They crash land. They stage a production of War Horse or something, and then because they've been playing soldiers, they think they are soldiers, and that's why it keeps getting passed on. So it all stems from an amateur dramatic society crash landing on a planet and getting out of control.
That makes a lot of sense, and why Cobb is such an ineffective and shit villain.
Yeah.
Because there doesn't feel like at any point in this that there's any threat.
No. It's just running around and shooting. Yeah,
and we all know that actually they're all clones anyway, so they'll just get another one, So it doesn't feel like... I never get the feeling that anybody's in danger, which I guess is why it comes as slightly more of a shock when they do actually nearly kill Jenny at the end. I mean, the Doctor thinks she's dead, but obviously she's off doing a big Finish box set somewhere.
Yeah. And the thing is, the idea of the Doctor having a daughter is such a powerful idea that you don't need like a war-torn colonist planet and fish people.
No.
Like, you can write an episode of that with just the companions and the Doctor and his daughter. As cheap as you like. It's just bolted onto this. It's like a Tom Baker level kind of Sunmakers era. Cheap, run around on an alien planet.
It's exactly that. Stephen Greenhorn, who wrote it, when he did the Lazarus experiment, he did an interview with Doctor Who magazine or something, and goes, fundamentally, you can't change the Doctor with any episode. It doesn't really have any impact on him. So Rusty Davis said, why don't you do something that has a lasting impact on him? Which is a great idea, but he doesn't succeed, does he?
No. And that I remember that quote because that's how it was billed, and everyone was really excited for it based on that. And the unfortunate thing is that it was a really bad phrase to sell the episode because it's not what it does.
Yeah, it just doesn't at all.
I saw that quote and I thought, that's interesting. And so by the end of it, I thought, oh, so he will kill Cobb. That's what this is leading up to, and that will change him. And actually, no, it was bullshit.
And also, you can't call a villain Cobb if you're from the Midlands, because I just think of a cheese sandwich.
Yeah, full of ham.
Yeah. Why do you think we never saw Jenny again?
I see no distinction between her, Michelle Ryan. early Clara.
Yeah.
I love Clara, but early Clara is a really
Matt
a
Smith
character.
Clara
Yeah.
is like a weird.
Yeah, there's just so many other like stock perky heroic women in the new series that fall into that there's just not the interest, and also they've, as an introductory story, they've wasted the opportunity to make her interesting as his daughter. So the initial interest is, oh, she's a soldier, so there might be a different morality, and that's what makes them different. But by the end of it, she's completely squeaky clean and good. Yeah. So what more do you do with her except have her as just a guest star companion that just
shows up every now and then, like a Captain Jack.
Yeah.
Except he kind of goes, "Who's my daughter?" And then they go, "Your daughter, really?" And everybody goes, for a minute. And then goes, "Well, not really. It's just like they took some of my DNA and made this lady."
Yeah.
So the Doctor does talk a little bit about being a father before and all his kids being dead. Now that Gallifrey exists again, or did, were they temporarily back alive?
Maybe. Susan?
I just thought.
Well, we don't really care about that at the moment because we've been too busy seeing the Doctor as a child.
Yes, that's true.
We're hooked on the
baby doctors.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't have an awful lot more to say about the Doctor's daughter. Does it clang or does it bang?
It clangs.
Yeah, it's a piece of stinking shit.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
But also, we both, to the exception of a lot of fans, we both really enjoyed the Lazarus Experiment when it came out. So we were excited because we had no problems with the Lazarus Experiment.
I've got no problems with it. Well, I think it's an enjoyable Doctor Who story.
On an SD TV, the CGI looked pretty damn good.
Yeah.
And I don't want to watch it again because I enjoyed it so much in Series 3. So there were lots of expectation this was going to be great.
Yeah.
And it's surprisingly almost not even 70s, almost 60s.
It's just very run-of-the-mill Doctor Who for something that could be great. So we've had multiple incarnations of the Doctor's daughter, and by that I mean 2. How would you feel meeting the biological daughter of the Doctor in the main TV series?
No, I think it's still. I think they should do it. They should do it right since they fucked it up so much with the Doctor's daughter. I think it's a good. I'm all up for meeting parts of the Doctor's family if it's done in the right way.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think they should do it.
Cool. If you're listening, Russell T Davies.
I'm open for the Doctor's brother being in the show. Yeah. I think I'd be well up for
meeting
someone playing the Doctor's brother, and then just him being the next
or sister,
River Song or Captain Jack.
Meeting the fam, like they do in Lung Barrow.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it depends whether you think that the Time Lords do have biological kids.
Yeah, I think they do.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I as you know, I'm very much wombs over looms.
Yeah, because I don't think it does break the show. The Timeless Children did not break the show. No. As in, it was. I enjoyed it. It was interesting. Any showrunner can completely forget it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't change the show.
Yeah. No, everybody seems to think it does, but it doesn't. And I don't think meeting the Doctor's family would. I guess now the question is whether that's the Doctor's family from wherever they're originally from, or the Doctor's family, the adopted family as they would be on Gallifrey.
Yeah.
Not Tecteun. But yeah, there we go. So we've met some Doctor's daughters. Next time, it's November.
Yeah.
It's the month of Doctor Who. There's not only new Doctor Who, but Doctor Who was birthed then.
Yeah, the fixed point.
The fixed point that cannot be changed. So we're going to do some multi-Doctor stories.
Yes.
What we're going to do?
We're going to do Zagreus.
Yes, which lives inside your head. And we're going to look at a videotape, aren't we?
Yeah, for all you fans of Insulate Britain and Extinction Rebellion, we're going to do the air zone solution.
Yes, we are. And I'm very much looking forward to that. But until next time, I have been Dylan.
I've been Jack.
We are Doctor Who Too Hot for TV, and we'll be back next month.
Too hot for TV.
It's a great sound, that bottle, isn't it?
You're like one of the fish people from Doctor's Daughter when you do that.
It's on theme.
Yeah.
It's on theme.